Welcome to the Rust Belt Rundown, brought to you by Rust Belt Recruiting. This podcast is designed to shine a light on the meaningful work being done in Northeast Ohio and the surrounding region. We will convene manufacturing executives and Northeast Ohio business leaders for candid discussions about their business, regional happenings, industry trends, entrepreneurship, and more. Now, let's get running on the Rundown.
Okay, welcome everyone to episode 13 of the Rust Belt Rundown. I'm your host, Paul O'Connor, and on this episode, we are joined by Brandon Chrostowski, founder, president, and CEO of EDWINS Leadership and Restaurant Institute. Brandon, welcome to the Rundown, man. Really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, you bet it. Thanks for having me.
So first and foremost, we love to give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves as if everyone listening doesn't know you. So give us the high level view of who you are.
Yeah, Brandon Chrostowski, so founder, president, and CEO of EDWINS Leadership and Restaurant Institute. What we do here is help men and women who are coming out of our criminal justice system or injustice system, however you look at it, yep. and teach to the top. We provide an elite skill with culinary arts and hospitality, and over those 6 months, someone really just rocks and rolls and can turn their career around or in the direction they wanted to. But we also have a strong hug when it comes to care. So if someone needs housing or some a barrier to getting to where they want to be, we make sure that we obliterate it, right? We just get rid of it, eliminate it, so that they can move on with their future. So who I am, what I do is pretty much that, just run an organization that provides a real second chance and an advocate for the underserved and really want to dedicate a life towards someone who had this experience that I had, but maybe not the idea of a second chance that I had.
I love it. So you've been in the restaurant business essentially your entire career, and correct me if I'm wrong, if that is wrong, but what was the motivation to be in that industry, coming when you were about 18, 19?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a specific motivation. I found a job that could push back on my energy level. And before I was in the restaurant business at like 17, I was 16, I had probably a dozen jobs or more, working from pumping gas to grocery stores to ice cream shops or putting in pools, carpet. I mean, I just love to work hard, right? And that's what I like to do. And when I found this business, I had a feeling it was for me. But when I received mentorship in this business, I knew it's exactly where I need to be.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously COVID has had a tremendously negative effect on the restaurant and bar industry. What has the last year been like for you? What have you guys done to try to adapt over the last, I can't believe we're coming up on a year.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, it's been a tough for our industry, but we've weathered the storm quite well. We had a good 2020, and that means we're doing nothing differently here, right? In terms of the approach to how you succeed, it's hard work, right? I mean, you keep working hard, you try something new, you adapt quickly, and you get it right, and that's what we've been doing here the whole time, and so nothing's changed except the world around us in COVID. So we fared quite well. We did a nice to-go business. We, started this idea of 4 meals for $40, and that just took off and really provided what was needed in our community. Right? We needed people needed meals that were affordable, that were good, that fed the soul, and that were easy. Right? So come by, pay $40, you feed a family of 4, everyone wins, and we beat it on volume. But that was no way possible if there wasn't a bakery and butcher shop that was in this project too. The idea was to control the supply chain, so we had a whole vertical business. We doubled business over at the butcher shop. That was killer. Bakery was so new that it was just kind of steady, and we don't know up from down because it was our first year. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the restaurant did well. We opened another restaurant in November in the square, and that's already in the black. So it's been a good year. I mean, it's like 7-day weeks. It's like opening a restaurant again every day. Yep. But with that, you can survive and you can actually thrive. A lot of people just gave up, right? They threw the towel in, or said I can't or I won't, and I can't speak to the people that did that.
Yep. Let's dive into Edwin's, Ohio City Pizzeria, Sarah Knight. How did you come up with these ideas, and what was the motivation to start initiatives like these?
Yes, I mean, the whole idea of Edwin's was a break I received and some elite education and great mentorship, right? I mean, that's how I got to where I'm at, and then wanting to give that back. Uh, and that's what you have here at Edwin's, right? It's a strong education with all these wraparound services. So the idea behind everything else has just been deepening what we do, right? So there's no sense in opening another restaurant or two or three across the country or the nation when you could just help other people achieve their goals and staff it with graduates of the Edwin's program, right? Like what a great concept. You take someone who graduated the program, has got good training, and they now run an organization. So, on one hand, that's what the projects were about, but on the other hand, is mainly about a need, right? So someone reaches out and said, I have a need. We have a large recovery community here. We have a large homeless population there. And when someone reaches out with that need, I'm just trying to help them connect that together with what we know best.
Yeah. I mean, I should have done this as the first or second question, but for people that
Yeah.
don't know, what is Edwin's? I mean, what is the mission behind it? What are you guys doing? I should have asked that a couple questions ago.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. No, again, it's serving, helping men and women out of the criminal justice system and training them to the top in this fine dining French restaurant. So for 6 months you receive training, and if you need it, there's housing, and there's many other amenities here to help you overcome your obstacles to get to your goal.
Yep.
And that's what we do. And so someone's here for that length of time, and they learn and they live, and at the end of it, they have a number of jobs waiting to hire so that someone can move their career forward.
Now, what is the actual process like if someone, is incarcerated and the day they get out? I mean, how do they learn about you? Are you in touch? How does that process work?
So, I mean, at first, there's two different stories here, right? So at the beginning, when no one had an idea what this was, just this crazy guy running around with this idea, I would just go to every shelter, every courtroom, every church, anyone who would listen, who wanted a chance to say, look, this is what's going to happen. We're going to build this restaurant. It's going to be a training center. And if you do it, you'll get better in this career path and employed, et cetera, right? And that's what it was, man, just barnstorming. And after that, we have now close to 500 graduates.
Wow.
I started this in prison in 2011. I started teaching in prisons. We're now in 12 prisons, and we have our content across 350,000 tablets in America. There's much more recognition of what we've done, nationally and internationally. So now, how someone comes and hears about us is, one, they're a graduate of the program, they get recommended, and so it's usually by real close personal recommendations. It's the media that you hear, or you hear about it in prison and you learn about it. So
Got it.
that's the first thing. Day one, you come out of prison, how do you even know about us? Well, people know about us, right? Or you've been told about it, or you've actually taken the class while incarcerated. And then from there, you just call us up and say you want to join, and we have start dates every 2 months. And so you just get in. It's as simple as that.
Wow. I know you mentioned a ton of different barriers, besides employment. Housing is another one. How did you solve, or at least attempt to solve, that housing issue as well?
Yeah, you just build it. You know what I mean? It's like, Paul, the funny thing about this concept, everyone thinks this shit's complicated. And it's like, it's not. I've peeled carrots for a long time in my life, and I'm pretty damn good at it. Like, you get carrot, you peel it efficiently, and you put it where it needs to go. And there's not much more rhetoric behind peeling a carrot. And so goes any problem that we have in this world. Yeah, they may be complex, but I mean, someone needs housing isn't complex. You build a house, right? And so that was it. It was, someone needed housing. It's actually 2 or 3 students needed housing, and I wasn't happy with the quality of, the shelters, and said, well, we're going to build it. Well, this is crazy. How are you going to build it? Well, you raise money and you build it, right? So that was the next step. Then raised a little over $1 million, and, just knocking doors and say, hey, do you want to sell your building? Do you want to sell your house? And, now we have, like 6 buildings there on the corner of Buckeye and 130th, right? So
Wow.
we're pretty strong right now, but that's it. It was need, it was ask, it was work hard, get it done.
Okay, and so when you say 500 graduates, what is the length of the program? When do they officially become graduates? And then, what happens after that?
Yeah, so we have about 500 graduates, and that means they've completed the 6 month program, which
Yeah.
is about 900 hours, right? I've actually got the program, so when you get your certificate, it's licensed by the state of Ohio, right? So it carries a little bit of backing behind it. Uh, what happens afterwards is, I mean, you have a longer list of jobs waiting to hire you. If we have something open in our business or our corporation, if you would, or our family, then you're going to get hired there. I mean, we're 60% managed here by graduates. So from chefs to RAs to general managers, they're graduates of the program, and it really keeps that perspective sacred of why we are here and how you can succeed while you're here.
Yeah, I love it. What does the general public not understand about how, the hardships of landing after your feet after being incarcerated? There seems to be um and either understandably or not understandably, a stigma, obviously, right, about being in jail. And obviously that can vary based on why you were there. But what does the general public just fundamentally not understand about how hard it is to then leave? Like I mentioned, on day one, what happens, right? Like, what don't they understand?
I I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know what they don't understand. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, but I would say probably the biggest, you know, I think people, it's all relative. Everyone lives in a different world, different ecosystem,
Yeah.
and our ecosystem, like I know what it's like to not have a home. I know what it's like to not have anything. I mean, so it's like I get what it's like. I mean, I just think that if there was a general statement I can make, people don't know how, people don't understand how bad is, right? Or how nothing is what nothing is. Like, so some people, nothing is like, shit, I don't have sparkling water today. Whew, this is tough. Um, Other people are like, man, if I had $1, I could eat, or my family could eat if I had $2. I think there's different levels of that. And the other part that people understand is the dehumanization that goes on in prison. And I'm not trying to say someone doesn't belong there for something bad that they did. That's not, I'm not saying that at all. Some people do bad things and they go there, but either way, it transforms you as a human. You're not the same human you are when you went in as you are when you come out. I mean, it really dehumanizes a lot of people, because it strips away your freedom, your lack of self-worth, and depending on how hard that fall was or how long that stay is, it can have a profound effect on your psychology. So I think what people don't understand is how little is little to have, then also the psychology of how much it rips you away.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get into how you came up with the name Edwins. It is your middle name, but also is short for Education Wins, which I just think is amazing. Can you expand on that further, how that all came about?
Yeah, I mean, since I got in this industry at like 17, 16, I always wanted a restaurant called Edwin's. My grandfather was a real SOB, and he died when I was 4, so I didn't get to know him, but I heard the stories and I just loved it. It was my middle name, so I said, man, it'd be great, Edwin's. I just love to have this restaurant, Edwin's. And I mean, I have business cards from like when I was 18 at Edwin's, call for catering, kind of funny. Um, but then as this plan came together, I didn't have to let go of that spirit, right? So, just kind of capped it all and then merged Education Wins, and it's truly what I believe. I mean, it's truly what a lot of us know, and to be correct. But the spirit behind that is also important. Education, it's not just education that wins. You need to have some backbone and some fire in the belly. It's not just education. You have to have drive.
Yep.
And I think, it works well putting those two together.
Yep, absolutely. So you ran for mayor back in 2017. Tell us about that experience. That had to be a whirlwind.
It was blast. I mean, it was a blast. I don't know how you do this in public schools or private school, but it should be mandatory to run for like an office in some way, shape, or form. I mean, the engagement, the fact that you have your words and your ideals to really stand upon, and then how you drive that message out there, and these sort of things. It was a really educational experience. I mean, I've learned how to talk a lot better in media outlets, especially when it's more aggressive.
Mhm.
I've learned how to pivot in any situation pretty well in terms of speaking. Uh, I got to know the city a whole lot better, and then the city got to know, what I've done a whole lot better.
Yep.
So it was a win-win. I mean, I would definitely do it again. Given the time is right, the setting is right.
Okay.
I have no bitter taste about the political process. I think it's a beautiful thing. It was just fun, but the whole thing wasn't thought through. Paul, I'm an emotional guy, and I was just pissed off that the city kept hitting roadblock after roadblock. When you look around you see all these resources and brain trusts, and then dollars and passion, and it's like, why are we still here?
Yep.
And so when that didn't make sense, and then the fact that we're doing something on a small scale, but expanding is working, it's working what we do. Why not try to spread this citywide somehow, some way? And so that was the reason why, and it was a really great time.
Yeah, I mean, that was my follow-up, and you kind of answered is could we expect to see another run in the future? And it seems like you're somewhat open to it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the dollar's got to be there. You need some big boys, big girls behind you, and fundraising for this is different than fundraising for a nonprofit. Although I thought I did pretty well, overall, you need a lot of money to win a race, right? You do. It's important to have those funds. The second thing is just making sure that the climate's right. Now, change is always good. Don't get me wrong, but right now, I mean, I got my hands pretty full with change right now.
Yeah.
So I think we're doubling down on reentry, and we're really starting to hit that national pace where we're leaders, and I think that's where the time is best vested right now.
Now, is there a plan to take your model and expand it? I know you mentioned that in terms of content, you're on tablets all across the country, but I thought I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the research prior to this episode, that prison systems are calling you to consult and to essentially put this model in. Is that kind of the plan, to expand nationally?
Yeah, the plan is to continue to do that. Pre-COVID, even post-COVID, there's been a number of conversations. Detroit kind of being the next one up, but it was over 26 cities or 30 cities in that year.
Wow.
So it was consulting, or it was speaking, or it was actually implementing. So the idea is to change the face of reentry, right? And change the perception. And how do we do it? Well, through this great education, empowering men and women out of our criminal justice system. It's such a valuable perspective someone has coming out of incarceration. So the plan to expand it doesn't look like EDWINS in Indianapolis. It looks like, whatever Indianapolis is passionate about, helping them activate that, and then getting that up and running so it can sustain. Just like the Medina Project or Ohio City Pizzeria, these are the same type of projects. But the thing is, over the last year, have started a manager training program where we have graduates work for a year and managing all three of the facilities, now four, so they can run the projects that we start up after this or going forward. So you have to be careful when you do these sort of things, because the world says bigger is better, and we saw COVID slap the shit out of some of those philosophies, right? And I've always just believed in just deeper, and if you could produce the best leader, then that leader can then do what it is they can do, and then but with the same spirit. And that's how you expand, right? So we don't have one EDWINS, we have like 500 EDWINS, because our grads are managing, or our grads are doing, or our grads are doing. So that's the philosophy on how expansion looks nationwide, is just continue to activate. And if we have to implement and give opportunity to graduates, it's possible now. It's really possible. So we could roll pretty hard, but it's about deeper. It's always about deeper.
Yeah, I love it. I think you've just created such a strong ecosystem. And if you can replicate that somewhere else, great. But if you can keep doubling down where you are, probably even better. I agree. In 2019, you were recognized by Cleveland Magazine as Community Leader of the Year. I mean, you don't seem like the guy out there looking for awards, but I got to be honest, it's probably got to feel pretty good to get it. How did that feel to be recognized for such good work?
Oh, it's sweet. I mean, it's always nice to be recognized, and you're right. It's not about the awards, but it's nice to be recognized. People say, hey, you're a leader in some capacity, and but those things just, you put them in a box and then you move on and
Get back to work, right?
the mountain's so high, man. We're like, I never look behind, right? I'm proud of these flags we put up at every point in the mountaintop, right? But we're so far from that mountaintop, and that's what we have to focus on. And if we get complacent or comfortable with the fact that, wow, we've been recognized, or wow, you know, that's sensation is it's a falsity, and it can really diminish your work ethic or what your plans are.
Yep.
I have not had television in now going on almost 18 years, 19 years. Now I look back, it's about 2002. I still run off a BlackBerry, right?
Wow.
I believe in instincts and trusting instincts that you have, because your body will tell you something before your mind does. I think it's really important not to blur those, and you can easily blur yourself with the feeling that you're cool or the feeling that you're popular. That's not the feeling that's satisfying. The feeling that's satisfying is making a difference and being in touch with other humans and making progress in someone's world. And that's what it is. So although these awards are great, I mean, they're great. I mean, we'll continue. It helps validate that reentry is a real thing. It helps get your foot into the door of some places, and then you have access and you can create change. And without that validation or awareness, sometimes you're not at the table. So, and there's responsibility that comes with these things too.
Yeah, for sure. I always found that, awards or recognition can do one of two things. It can either continue to motivate you, and like you said, you keep planting flags and keep going back to work and keep doing the necessary things, or it can make you complacent. And that's kind of the scary part. It's like, oh, well, I made it. It's like, well, actually, success is not necessarily about the destination, right? Just about the journey, and we get to keep doing it over and over again. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I wanted to ask too, like, I just learned about you in the past, 2 weeks as I was doing my research. I'm down here in Columbus. What can someone like me, or, to the listeners, how can we help today? I mean, is it a donation? Is it awareness? How can we help?
I mean, it's all the above. So like the easiest thing to do is, you send a check, you send a check to EDWINS and hey, say, keep up the good work. We do need those funds, right, to keep going. We run a smart business, but we also run a school, and most places out there like Ohio State, they charge you to go to school. We pay people to come to the program, right? So it's a really interesting balance. So funds are always helpful, right? Coming to dine here, right? I mean, we got a map in the kitchen that's people come from Anchorage, Alaska, or Juneau, or they come from California, and they come from, we have a pretty far reach. Dining helps keep us in business, but it also helps our students practice the skill they're learning, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a huge power in dining here. So those are great. Those are very personalized. But reentry as a whole could use, advocates and champions in every industry. So, everyone's got a circle, everyone's got an ecosystem. And I would just say, in your ecosystem, in your circle, talk and question people about what it is and what reentry means, right? So it could be the place that you go to get your dry cleaning, or your groceries, or the church you go to, or whatever it is, the people they say, hey, how are you hiring? Do you hire people with a criminal offense? Just simply pushing this agenda. If we had a massive market go to every place and say, hey, are you hiring? Why not? Or what would you consider? Or the needle would move, right? So the most powerful thing you can do is the people you have relationships with and are connected to. And with that, you have an ability to access someone's heart and mind. Otherwise, it's just another thing you ignore from some person that doesn't know you, you don't know them. There's not that connection. The connectivity is key. And do some education about what it means to you, or whatever that cause is, and how it affects business or your circle, and then start having conversations.
Yep. Love it. Well, Brandon, listen, this was awesome. In closing, we always like to give our guests a chance to list their favorite places to eat. I assume I kind of already know your favorites, but after your own spots in Cleveland, what are your go-to either takeout or in-person places to eat?
Oh yeah, we go in person for sure. It's Siam Cafe, which is down in Chinatown. Michael is the chef and owner. He's great, man. I mean, just really authentic Chinese food. Our kids love it. I mean, it's an easy place to go. The Balaton, I think, is another one that's right next door to us here. It's a, Hungarian fare, really Eastern European.
Love it.
No, nothing flashy there. It's going to be what you get. Those are probably my top two. We don't get all that much, right? Between work and family and life, you just kind of just keep going or cook at home. But when we want to treat ourselves, that's the places we're going to.
Love it. Last thing, where can everybody find you? Website, social, all that good stuff.
Yeah, EDWINSrestaurant.org. You can find us there. I mean, that website will tell you everything. You can look at the Oscar-nominated documentary called Knife Skills, like a knife you cut with, right? That was pretty big going to the Academy Awards, and it really kind of tells you what we do, how we do it. And it's a 40-minute short, so it's not like you're spending your whole night doing it. These are things that can really educate you about what goes on here, the website and that film, but also really what it takes to provide a second chance. It really is. That movie sums it up pretty well. It's authentic. It's raw. It's not pretty, but there's a lot of real struggles but overcoming them and then having someone in your corner to help you overcome them with you.
Yeah. And
provide real opportunity is the most powerful change I think we can make as civil society.
Yep, I agree. Where can everybody watch that? Is that on the website?
There should be a link to the website. I mean, Condé Nast bought the rights, so it might be like on New Yorker or YouTube or something like that. But I mean, it's Amazon. It's on all these outlets.
Okay, awesome. Well, Brandon, thank you so much again. I really do appreciate it, and best of luck with the remainder of the year. And we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you. All right. Hey, and Paul, go Blue. All right. I'm a big Michigan fan, huh?
Always, man. I'm right there with you. I live in Columbus, but it's because my wife's from here. So go Blue.
Thank you. All right.
See you, man.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Rust Belt Rundown. Make sure you check us out at rustbeltrecruiting.com. The Rust Belt Rundown is available wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and click on 5 stars if you enjoyed this episode. See you next time.